2, 1, go!
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Schmoedown galaxy far, far away. Welcome everybody to Schmoes of the North presents Mount Schmoedown. This episode, I have to admit, I never thought we were actually going to get to it personally because of the competitor we're talking about, because of their long reign. I felt like this was someone who was going to be celebrated maybe at the end of the year, but we just couldn't hold this off anymore. But before I continue going on further, thank you all for joining us live or watching the rewatch later on this channel. I am one of your co-hosts today, Ryan Payne. On to my right is my co-pilot, or at least in this sense, the emperor for today, Ben Rayner. And below us, joining us once again from our fellow Schmoes of the North, it is one half of the Mega Powers, and that is Soda. How you doing?
Ooh, yeah, brother. Dig it. I'm actually excited to be on here because the guy we're talking about is a legend. Where you put him on the Mount Rushmore, I don't know, but he's definitely deserving of to be in the conversation.
Oh, agree 100%. Ben, you, I jumped right ahead to get to Soda, but go for it, man.
He's incredible. I mean, I think he only has maybe 2 losses out his entire career.
In the one division.
No, he has 2 apiece in one division, in 2 divisions.
Okay.
So,
yeah, he's incredible. There's no stopping him when he's on the wall. And the only time he messes up is when he messes up. Like, if he never messes up, he'll keep winning. If that makes sense.
I agree. There's not that many things that can trip this competitor up.
You are 100% correct. I mean, there's really not much I can find when it comes with talking about Alex Damon, how throughout over 2 years, he really was untouchable. He was untouchable to
You're breaking up, dude.
Yeah, you're breaking. Do you want to leave and come back?
Question writers.
Ryan,
This man clearly like the emperor.
Well, why don't we?
Let's just announce who it is. I'm pretty sure people can figure it out from the context clues, but we're talking about none other than the demon himself, the former Star Wars champion, Alex Damon.
Yeah.
Easily the longest reigning champ.
Oh yeah, and like we said, he's only lost a few matches. But he's so great. The only, Andrew Telemonta has mentioned him, but I would say the only 2 between Andrew and Sam Whitmer are the only 2 that have beat him, and as of right now, could only beat him.
So here's the thing. So I'm on the official wiki site because it's handy to have when you're talking about these. He's only got 1 official loss in the Inner Geekdom. So he has 3 losses in Star Wars. The 2 against Dimolanta and the Whitwer one.
Do you think if Sam, who would win today on a 1-on-1 match between Sam and Alex?
And here's why I say why. It's because Alex is consistently studying for it. Whitwer probably doesn't have the time to commit to be able to play in the league nowadays. So I would give it to Damon.
Yeah, it's scary how much he knows. And it seems like he had a great home with Stars and with Roxy.
Yeah, it fits. And like Roxy has said, he's the heart of the Stars, and there's really no argument there. We all good, my dude?
Yeah, apparently before I wanted to make a Dark Side Emperor reference, the Rebel Alliance decided to cut my communications off and go, we're not talking about the Empire here. We're talking about Alex Damon. And before I had to clear things away with the Rebel Alliance and the Council, I had to tell them, look, I'm not saying he's like the Emperor. But seriously, this man, Alex Damon, went for nearly 2 years untouched by challengers, unchallenged. Not to say his competitors were small-time people. It's just looking at his matches, his knowledge, and the fact that he barely missed during his 2-year reign.
And then, like I said to Ben, when he just appeared, he's only got 4 losses in total, 1 in Intergeekdom, 3 in Star Wars. And the 3 Star Wars losses were his very first match because it was a Fatal 5-Way.
Technically, he's also got a second loss in your geekdom. He's also got a second loss in your geekdom.
I'm on the official Collider wiki, and it only has the 1.
It didn't update it with the current #1 contenders match against Mike Kalinowski?
Let's...
Because you lost to Mike twice.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it is 2 losses. I'm sorry. They just didn't update it in his scorecard. Sorry.
Gotcha.
Yes, it is the 2 losses. And then in Star Wars, he lost his very first match, which was that Fatal 5-Way, and then he lost the 2 matches against Demolante. And yes, it's just like I said, the way where it's listed under his record, they only put 4-1, but then when I went down, they had the 2 losses.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I really don't blame you for that. And it's funny because that first loss in his 5-way, originally it really wasn't counted on his record until Star Wars Division became more legit, honestly. At first, he was still considered, like him, Scrimshaw were considered 0-0. That 5-way was just a regular fun match, just determining which face Knapsack. But then later on, it did get added into his record, too, so no one can ever say he was undefeated.
Now, I got a bit of a trivia question that you're going to have to probably think hard on. This is the only match he ever did without the Demon nickname.
Tell me what his
name is. The Explainer, yeah. One of the worst nicknames I've ever heard.
Which is funny because I think it was kind of like a cute play on words for his channel, Star Wars Explained. But even then, it's kind of, we can do better than that. No knock against you, Christian. I mean, maybe it was kind of meant to be just like this fun little one-off. Maybe. But obviously, the fact with Ken really being like almost like really encouraging Alex to be more into this, it really goes to what nickname do you want? And pretty much.
The Explainer is a good nickname for a one-off, but it's not a good nickname when you have to explain the nickname.
Yeah. No.
You would have to explain the Explainer nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some kind of minute hook in there somewhere. Then
that's one you have to know who he is. It's like, no, too much effort. That's why the Demon is a perfect nickname for him, because to be honest, he played like a freaking demon since he started his career.
Yeah. There is nothing against that, honestly, because even then in that 5-way match, when it was him, Whitworth, Scrimshaw, O'Neill, and Saunders, Scrimshaw, and Whitworth were the top deadly threats. The only reason that he did not get to sudden death against Whitworth was because he missed one question, and he got the same number of steals he missed one steal opportunity that Sam got. But even then, seeing that match, how close it was, naming so many great questions, like getting the naming the astromech droid that Obi-Wan has with him in Attack of the Clones, to remembering what color Chewbacca's eyes are, and even with weapons technology, knowing what the sort of blasters that Han Solo had carried. Those are the questions you're like, wait. No one tells me this crap in the films. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, this is the match that introduced that.
We need 5-way the one where Sam lost it because Captain Nina.
That was the one at Celebration that he lost. Now, this 5-way, I'm actually convinced they recorded this the same day as they did Spectacular that year.
I don't think so, because it was this same one where Ken revealed himself to join the Lion's Den, and it kept going further down, where it led to that match
I'm
between
not
them.
saying the whole show. I'm saying this particular match. And the reason why I say that is if you look at Sam Witwer, he's dressed in the exact same clothes. And he still, when he enters the match, the title match, he still seems a little shook up on how he won the match. So I'm convinced they recorded that before they recorded that Iron Man match that we all know and love.
You do bring up a very solid point.
I would ask Karloff that if I ever had a chance to talk to him. Like, did you record that match the day of?
I mean, honestly, the way the match is placed. And then you have all these extra matches in between. When you look at the playlists from season 4, it is very susceptible to believe that they did record all of that on the same Saturday. But then that would have been like maybe 12 hours, because not only did they have that, because that spectacular was maybe around like 5 to 6 hours to record.
Yeah, but that's why I'm convinced they did record all the other stuff at a later date. But this Star Wars match, they recorded it right after the 5-way. That's the only one I'm convinced they recorded it on a separate date. Just because of how
he is still wearing the same. He is still wearing a similar suit as he did in that one as well.
Exactly. So that's why. Yeah, I mean, it is all in the realm of possibility. But anyways, let's continue on with who we're here for, or the Demon himself. So.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of perfect that we break down that portion, because there's so much with Alex's career that we can't even so much to speculate in. I mean, so let's immediately just jump into it with Star Wars. Of course, having this YouTube series, Star Wars Explained, and many Star Wars competitors have openly said they have used his channel as background references to study, already showing that Alex Damon was going to be 100% a huge titan, a dangerous competitor in this league, a real Jedi Master, as I should say. But still, that first 5-way match, I mean, I'm not saying he was overlooked, but it was because of the fact that you take someone who explains Star Wars, and then you take him. I mean, him and Joseph Scrimshaw had Star Wars content shows. But then you compare him to the guy who has voiced Star Wars characters, who has played a Star Wars character, and who lives Star Wars just like they do. It's easy for them to be slightly overshadowed to Witwer. But that live event, that LA live event that Alex played in, that triple threat against Ken and Joseph, 100%, it completely showed you that Alex was not taking that loss lying down. Sure, he was there for fun, but he barely missed a question in that match. He went out of the 3 of those men, only one to get perfect in both round 1 and round 2 to have that huge lead. And even then, Ken Knapsack was like one of the highly favored characters going in that match because of how good he played as a bad guy. And then just seeing Alex coming on in there, accompanied with his wife Molly, and lo and behold, how the seat was planted for Molly to become part of the Schmoedown from there.
This is the only time I'm ever going to say something like that, but first time I saw Molly, I'm just like, dude is hitting way out of his league. I was like, holy crap.
I'm not going to blame you. As someone shares this, we apologize. I mean, to be honest, we are sorry. I mean, there's so many couples out there, not just with celebrities, but also people we meet in real life. We go, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then seeing how Molly gets more brought into Star Wars Explained, and now seeing her on a certain point of view, it makes 100%. It makes perfect sense in my mind now that these two are perfectly paired together.
Don't get me wrong. That reaction I had was like a 2-second reaction. Because seeing them together, they're perfect for each other. You can't help but love the Damons. But that first moment, I was like, no.
Yeah, this was our Luke Skywalker Ben Solo moment. A split second of doubt, a split second of questioning. And luckily, it wasn't like, oh, we made enemies for life. It was just more of like, it was a lapse in judgment. Because I'll even be honest, watching those two talk Star Wars together, there are still times that split second of judgment go, oh my God, she's really out of your league, Alex. But even then, Alex is more like, Alex will be that person who will give you that little look in your eye going like, really?
Yeah, no.
The only person who's out of the league is you. And if Alex ever said that to me, you'd be 100% right. I am way out of both of their leagues when it comes with Star Wars, with putting together a YouTube show, consistently putting together a quality product, and with Star Wars trivia knowledge and movie knowledge.
You know what would be scary? If if they were on the same faction and if they were on the same team.
It
They
would,
Not-
but what I heard is they made it a point to not end up on the same faction together. They did
They
not
did.
want that.
Oh, really?
I had mistaken it as hearing it was Mara and Dan, but it was actually the Damons that said they do not want to be in the same faction together.
Huh. That's kind of too bad, but I guess I get it.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Ryan's having technical difficulties again. So yeah, just to finish off that second match of Alan's Damon's, that's really when, like, I mean, we did see it in the Fatal 5-Way, but it was this triple threat where we ushered in the new era of the Star Wars division. You good, man?
Yeah, I'm good. It seems that now the Empire is like, did you just mock us? And now we're going to start messing with your technology. But
yeah, right before
right
before we did our other show this morning, I had something similar. My computer decided to do a mass update in the middle of the night, and then when I went to turn it on, my mouse wasn't working properly. And it's like 4 minutes for airtime, so I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, and the worst part is that I'm alone right now in my home, except outside of my brother's girlfriend and my little sister. So I know my internet is good. So it's pissing me off that I decided to do this right now. But carrying on what you said, I remember during the free agency pickup when Sam picked up Molly Damon, and then afterward, I think it was on the rundown, or they were asking him, why didn't you want to work together? And they pretty much said, yeah, it would have been fun, but it would not. But it wouldn't have made sense because they want to be their own individual players. I mean, yeah, Mara and Dan are a part of the same team, but even then, Mara was her own person before everyone was aware that she was with Dan.
Yeah, and they're not crossing leagues. Like, I think the reason why Dan was going to go into Geekdom is because Mara had stepped back, but now that she's back, I don't see him doing it anytime soon. So it is a little different in that sense. Yeah, this should be the title of the episode: Ryan versus his internet.
Yes. It's been a continuous battle. I can literally make an episodic series out of this, honestly, like Star Wars.
Did it ever happen to you on your old channel, or was it just when you moved over to Schmoes?
Always happened to me on my old channel, but normally it recorrected itself. I never got dropped out. Maybe once, but normally it always recorrected itself. I think it's because now I'm doing more of this. My computer and the software is like, we can't keep going. It's literally like I'm one of the X-wings in the run in the trench. They can't keep up with this.
Nice. Because what I noticed is that the Schmoes of the North channel generally has a history of something going wrong in the show. So that's why I was wondering if it happened after you joined us, because if that was the case, it makes perfect sense.
No,
so far, Ben's the only person I've done a show with regularly where his internet hasn't screwed up.
No, it's a constant reminder to me that I need to buy my own router. It's a constant reminder. I have to get my own personal router or my own personal, even for my phone, my own personal hotspot. Because my job, I go out, I work in different regions, so I always got to deal with different signals. So
it makes sense. I'm fortunate enough. I live in a small town by myself, and I have the highest possible internet. So hey,
makes lucky.
So back to Damon.
Has their internet ever died? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Probably. I mean, they're all in the digital age right now.
It is probably in the early days of their show. Anywho,
so is he the captain right now of the Stars?
I believe he is. Yes,
he currently is. Yeah, he's been with them since season 7.
Yeah, he's been there since the beginning of the faction stuff.
The faction.
Yeah.
There it is.
Before, we're not going to say who because we don't want to spoil anything. But before it was revealed who it was last night, did either of you think maybe Snyder's new partner could it have been Damon?
Well, you go first, Ryan.
In all my heart, no. Mm-hmm. Not because there was no chance Alice could compete. It was because from his performance in the free-for-all, he shows up at number 40. He's able to do okay. And then even in the Battle of the Champions, he was able to last because some Star Wars and IG questions were thrown in there, which at the time he was studying for. So that gave him a fight. In a simple teams match, sure, maybe a couple of IG would be thrown in there if it was through sci-fi fantasy or animation. But I don't think his general movie knowledge would have been enough to help work with Snyder to go against the Odd Couple.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Ryan. If he had more experience playing in a I don't want to call it a niche category, but basically a non-topic specific category like singles or team, yeah, it would have been more likely. But because he does not have the experience, it was highly unlikely in all likelihood, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say. And honestly, who they picked, I think, is the better choice.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That is one scary team, but we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil anybody who's rewatching this and going, "Oh, I've not seen Battlefield yet." Don't worry, we're not going to spoil anything. Although we did probably take away one of your guesses who Snyder's mystery partner would be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, with Alex, I remember at the time when Star Wars was still like very small competitors. I remember some people in the fan base were joking, maybe if we had like a Star Wars teams division, we'd get more Star Wars matches. And then even then that was shot down. We're like, we barely have enough for for 5 players. You think we're gonna have enough for teams? You'll just see the same people if you complain about seeing the same people for a Star Wars match, that complaint would be even higher if it was a team setup.
It could be done now if we didn't have the factions. If we didn't have the factions. Because there's usually only 1 to 2 Star Wars players per team. So you're right. We would consistently see the same players. However, if there weren't factions, they can make teams with whoever, and we would have more teams because God knows how many people there are in the FCL and who didn't make it who are Star Wars fans.
Exactly.
So now, no, if there was no factions, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Star Wars tag division, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's one thing with this, and here's one thing with the Star Wars division I thought was nice. At the time, I liked the fact that it was its own little jewel, its own little bubble outside of the multiverse that was the Schmoedown. Like, it could exist and not have to rely so much on the Schmoedown in order to keep going. That's why I like the idea that some of the movie questions, it was still surface with a little bit of a mixture of getting some deep cuts. But then at the next celebration, when they had that 5-way with Scrimshaw, Molly, Laura, Andrew, and oh my God, I'm forgetting the last guy. But when they had that other to see who would face Alex in Chicago, I'm like, you know what? It makes more sense to get a little more deeper. But then looking at Alex, I mean, even though Demolanta has proven himself a very worthy competitor, at that time, I thought Joseph Scrimshaw was the only person who could compete with Alex in Star Wars trivia because from that triple threat and from that Chicago defense.
You know what? Because he doesn't have a belt right now, he's going to be in a tournament, in a Star Wars tournament.
Yes, he is.
Not this one, but
the next one down the road, yeah.
The next one. I think there's another one in November or in fall.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make those tournaments part of the Ultimate Schmoedown legacy. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, me neither. But my point is, that's going to be one scary Alex with a purpose, ranking up points for the faction, and getting hungrier and hungrier to get that belt back.
Yeah.
Basically, he's been playing title matches since the beginning. This is his first tournament.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like to not rip off of Collins or Dan Murrell, when they're not in the title hunt, when they're not holding belts, they're that much more dangerous. So despite what people want to see of his current match going up, rematch against Demolanta, Alex now being free from that belt, I'll even say character-wise, has made him much more compelling.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because
out of that.
Yeah. Not to say that Alex holding the championship wasn't compelling enough, but so many people were too quick to write him off as like, oh, he's got the championship. He doesn't have to worry about bring up this big character. So as wrestling fans, we know a character is much more interesting when they do not have the belt.
Right. And I also want to throw this out. And this is an adage that I've heard quite a bit. It's not the title that makes the player. It's the player that makes the title. And yes, he may not have had a character at that time, but 3 years undefeated. What? Almost 3 years undefeated?
Let me see. He got in season 5 at the collision with that devastating KO against Bruce Green. And then going from there all the way to against Demolanta. Yeah.
It's just shy of 3 years. But basically, he's the one that gave credibility to this title. So even without a character or whatever, you're going into those, it's just like, shit, is this the guy that's going to dethrone Hulk Hogan? Is this going to be the guy? We wouldn't have that if it wasn't for Damon. But now that he's lost the title, I like that he's found this character that he has of basically someone who it's like he's missing a part of himself in a way.
Exactly. That's why I love those little cutscenes he had with Demolanta, and in his cutscene going up against Barbarian, he's going like, "Oh, I'm sorry, everyone, that I'm the best. I'm sorry that this champ."
I've got a wrestling reference for you. You know who that reminded me of?
Yeah.
Al Snow's early days with Head.
Oh, yes, that is good.
Did it not?
No, it's very good.
I'll explain to you afterwards, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, another reference I thought of, and, of course, I have to go recent with this, but with CM Punk after his 400-day reign, when he lost to Rock, it was kind of like, who the hell is he? Who is he after that belt?
It was his identity for so long, and now it's just like he has to find another one. And like I said, I'm glad he's got this character because now it has that other dimension, and we're getting something interesting out of it.
Yes. And one thing I know with Damon, I mean, yes, he is 100% connected to it. It's pure him. But also, I remember that of course, recently Shan Barney did that little one comment, that dig at Roxy. Congratulations, Roxy. You turned a god into a mortal.
Ooh.
Who gives a shit? And here's my response. Who gives a shit? I'm sorry. This is the fan in me coming out here because of course, the people who are in the Schmoedown, when you see people with belts, I mean, it's not that hard to look at someone with a belt and realize this is them at the pinnacle, and now you take them away from it. What are they afterwards? If one thing that Mike and Dan have proven, it doesn't matter if you win the belt or defend the belt. Can you always pick yourself back up and get to that prize again? And
I think he can.
I know Alex can get back to that prize because even with Kim Natsock, when he won that championship, lost it. That little run he had going up to face Damon again at Spectacular 3 was very fun. It really was. I enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't wow me. It didn't blow me away, but it was still so entertainingly good, especially that cutscene where Alex takes a little jab off of The Last Jedi with the fourth projection.
Yeah, isn't that the one they brought in Nathan Hamill?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And it was that cutscene where he's trying like, I know there's still light in you. You want this, don't you? And
I had no idea who that was when I saw that. And then I realized, oh, that's the dude's son. Come on.
Yeah, I really didn't recognize it either. But then when he did that jab, I'm like, that's got to be a jab at Luke. I mean, and then, of course, thankfully, at the time I was watching it live. And then later on seeing comments, oh, my God, Nathan Hamill. I was like, is he related?
Yeah. Oh, and then you find out he's close with Ellis. He's close with Knapsack. He's close with all those guys. He even stole. I think whose was it? Ellis's Young Guns 2 poster they stole. Did you ever hear about that?
I heard stories about that maybe during the time of Collider Live.
Yeah, they just stole it right off his wall.
Man, that was insane. But yeah, it just shows with Alex Damon that the connection that the Schmoedown was able to bring out of, not just from Damon alone, but really seeing like guests like Nathan Hamill, or despite what maybe people want to overlook that collision match against Bruce Green there, and I understand how it was, but even then, it was still like a very testament of Alex's character. He didn't want to be awarded that championship because Whitworth couldn't continue with it. He wanted a chance to earn it, just like what we saw this build up right now with the recent tag match, the teams match. Not going to spoil anything, but if y'all saw those cut scenes on the Schmoedown quick clips, Shazam was like, they can choose their opponent. We'll fight them that way. And even God damn it. Now thinking about that, part of me almost feels like, what if Damon had not chosen to stay with Roxy and wants to be picked up by the Quirky Mercs? This
is good a fit, to be honest.
Yeah, a great fit though. But this isn't like I'm throwing no shade to Roxy as well. Roxy proved 100% as a manager and why she was a great fit for Alice. Because let's just jump ahead to when he defended against Ace Cabrera last year.
Yes.
The questions that came up, obviously, crazy as hell. Very specific. I mean, round one, that Bob Anderson question still lingers with me because the fact that he was just writing it down, Cabrera goes out, he doesn't know it, and then he's like, "Is it Bob Anderson?" And it was just, what the fuck?
Can I ask, did you guys get that question?
No, I seriously did not. I understood what they were referencing. Like, I know that there was, I just couldn't remember who. I didn't never thought in my mind they would ever pick the stunt double, the man who was bodying Vader for that fight scene. And I didn't know he had a role as a stormtrooper, so that threw me off. When he said Bob Anderson, I'm like, wait, he played a rebel soldier.
Yeah, only reason I knew that is because Bob Anderson has choreographed so many of the great movies that we know of. So he's a name I knew. He's the only name I knew. So it's just like it's the only one that makes sense.
It was a movie
where 90 years. The dude lived 90 years, and these are the movies he's stunt doubled on. He did Highlander, Princess Bride, Mask of Zorro, The Lord of the Rings, Die Another Day, and he's coached Errol Flynn, Sean Connery, Antonio Banderas, Viggo Mortensen, and Johnny Depp.
Yeah, my favorite. I mean, the only reason why I was fine with Die Another Day was because of those sword fencing scenes. And because, I mean, all those movies you listed down are movies I've all seen and I all love to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And so when I heard Bob Anderson, I really had to think to myself, I knew he was the stunt double. I knew he choreographed that fight with Luke and Vader. He may have been in the Vader suit. I just couldn't know if he played a rebel soldier.
And that's actually the one that put him, I'm looking at his credits right now, and that's actually the Star Wars is the movie that put him on the map, because before then it was just Barry Lyndon might have been his biggest one. Before that it was a small stuff, but then he did Star Wars. Next one he did was Highlander, Princess Bride, and it kept going for big movies from there. So Star Wars was his first blockbuster movie, and he did a good job. Like those scenes, while they're not as compelling as what we get later, are still pretty good.
No, they're still very publicly engaging. Yeah. But knowing the fact that the question writers were finally able, I mean, I'm not saying they were finally able to step up their game, but it was completely clear during the Star Wars tournament they were bringing question writing to a new level. But at the same time, Alex would be either talking on his channel or on a throwdown where like, yeah, I could still pull out those questions. It wasn't until like that speed round against Cabrera where he slipped on how many films that Han Solo been in. You realize, oh. Yeah. And then look at the disappointment in his face. But Roxy, as the manager she pretty much like a football coach comes to a coach comes to his athlete or their athlete or her athlete, smacks him upside the face and goes like, "What are you doing? Get your head back in the game." Oh yeah. And he was able, I mean, he's still won by a TKO, but still even then, that speed round was like, no, I should have gotten that. Mm-hmm. Then we transitioned to that match against Demolanta. Neither of those suckers missed at all. And so finally, I think it was because of the duration where his mind finally slipped. And he's like, CY, CT. He's like, he knew it.
And he got it right as Harloff was saying 2-1, and it was too late. Yeah. 51 to 50.
51-50.
In a singles match. Like
no steals. All those speed round questions.
No multiple choices too, correct? Like it was perfect, right?
Yeah, no multiple choices. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect in round one. No multiple choices in round two. They bet 3 points and got them. They got all 10 of the speed round. All of their 5-round questions. I mean, that is without a doubt. That is 100% in my mind a match of the year contender.
Oh, not just match of the year, all-time match contender. That for me eclipses the Iron Man Star Wars match. It's the greatest Star Wars match of all time.
You're right, and honestly, that Star Wars Iron Man was hard to beat, honestly, but at the same time, but then we get to the rematch, and then we start seeing more difficult questions come up where Alex was able to flip on Revenge of the Sith, which I'm going, wait a minute. This was some Revenge. Wait, where are they getting these from Revenge of the Sith?
Right? it really does make you wonder because it's been explained to me like they do use things like the visual guides and stuff like that, which I'm sure you're getting a lot of information on. But some of those, I swear, you have to read the book, the novelizations to get. There's no way. That's
what I'm thinking too. The visual guides I was also using as a basis when it came with looking at Star Wars, and I thought the novelizations to me were kind of a pointless waste of time, especially after Rise of Skywalker. But I'm taking my Star Wars bias, my movie bias out of here. But I thought the novelization was mainly there just to fill in the gaps that the movies couldn't tell you. But it does prove that the novelizations do help, especially with getting those getting those characters like Slow and Low that costed Eric his match against Thomas Harper. And then you see also with even then with the novelizations that also I think it's helped Andres getting how many the ticket number that for his match, and then of course how many stand-ins. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to know. How the hell did he remember that ticket number?
So I went in and actually asked him a question during the tournament last year. I can't remember what.
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was. I think the second round match. Anyways, I asked him about that, and pretty much he said he watches a movie a night, if not two. And if you're doing that consistently through studying, you're gonna remember those things.
No, that's true.
If that's all you're watching, you're gonna remember.
I didn't know how they do it.
But I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know how either, because there's no way. Like, everyone knows I love Rocky, but there's no way I can watch Rocky like they do Star Wars. That's just no.
Oh, really? How many steps did he climb up?
I never counted the freaking steps.
Yeah. Or I wasn't paying attention to what material was made out of the Rocky statue in real life. I mean, I get the frustration. I get how detailed things are got, but that just shows it's obvious. It plainly states how deep Star Wars has become. It's
Rocky Lee Harloff, book it. I'm sorry, I had to say that.
I mean, that's the reason why we have those exhibition matches, so we can have those championships. But just like I said before, it's one of the examples why Star Wars is no longer being written off anymore by the fandom. During those 2 years that Alex was champ, everyone was like, oh, why don't you just throw a contender at Alex instead of having these matches to challenge him? And then you see just this past season with that tournament, with Upset City, and now seeing how that match was between Laura and Molly, and then with Demolanta going up against Alex.
That tournament last year was when the doors blew wide open on the Star Wars League, and dare I say, it's become a lot of players' favorite leagues from that tournament because of players like Damon, and like you said, Kelly, Molly, Damon, Scrimshaw, Demolanta, Sullivan. Like, this is the golden age of the Star Wars tournament, and it's all because of that one tournament last year.
Well, I will also say this: that tournament last year helped characters evolve tremendously.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, before that tournament, I didn't know who Laura Kelly was.
Right. I knew her, obviously, because I'd seen her compete in one or two matches. But I felt like a schmuck when I had to go in and ask that question, because I got bumped for that Molly Damon, or not, that Laura Kelly promo. And so when I finally got on, I'm like, why did you have to put me on after that?
Oh, I remember that. I was
like, son of a bitch.
That really was a promo. But I'm just like I'm saying, the tournament really did open a lot of eyes. I mean, Laura Kelly, I mean, she's going to have herself a huge match going up against Demolanta at the Collision. But even then, her match going up against Alex as well, that was a great show out for her.
Wasn't that the first match that we truly saw Alex taken to the limit?
No, his match against Scrimshaw, he got taken to his 5-pointer. Okay. But it was more of a closer. That was more of a closer match than his match against Kelly, because Kelly, she slipped a little bit, I think, in round 2, going to multiple choice, and she didn't bet as much. And then the speed round definitely broke apart that gap. I mean, it wasn't a big gap. She still got Alex to answer his 5-pointer, or it got to his 3-pointer. But still, Laura in her matchup against Demolanta and then leading up to here, a great start for her. Yeah, Star Wars tournament was start for so many competitors. But even then, Alex still remained that one of those twin suns in the sky that you would look up at the horizon. Like, it was Alex and the belt were those twin suns. You stand there on the dune near outside of Tatooine going, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to get to you. And then Demolanta comes in like the fucking Starkiller base and just shoots lasers at all of them and takes it.
Not wrong.
But to quickly transition from his Star Wars, last year, he decided, because he's played Star Wars so much, he wanted to branch himself out. So that year, he finally decided to declare himself to play in Inner Geekdom. And I'll have to admit, he's definitely not a juggernaut. But you do see that he has so much room to grow.
Yeah, and his only losses are against Kalinowski, the greatest Intergeekdom player of all time, and one of them was in a #1 contenders match.
Yeah, both of them are like huge gaps, though. Like he gets knocked out the first time they play against each other, and then this one was a TKO, if I remember.
It doesn't say, but
no, I guess it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Yeah. Well, actually,
it was 25-22 in their match this year.
Okay, but he did get knocked out by Mike. I know he got knocked out because he got DC movies. He struggled on that.
23-12. Yeah, knockout.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I mean. It was very frustrating too because Alex was like having a great year despite that Intergeekdom loss. A great start of the season. You know, he wins against Emily Jacobson, TKO at a live event in Atlanta, his hometown. And then he ends up going up against Brandon Hanna. Oh, no, he played Jen Kemp, who at the time, Jen Kemp, she herself even though she was a debuting rookie, she also had some great knowledge in Intergeekdom.
Still her only Intergeekdom match, yeah.
Yeah, and I hope to see her again in Intergeekdom. I mean, and then, of course, his match against Brandon Hanna, which was definitely one of his first challenges. Yeah. I mean, not to say he wasn't challenged going up against Jen and Emily, but it was... But in round 2, you did see the slight difference where Alex was definitely more prepared going up against those two. In Hannah, though, it was really like the slightest of differences. Hannah, in that match, he got more in his head, challenging the question riders than going up against Alex.
And he only lost by 2 points.
Yeah, only by 2 points. He missed his 5-pointer, which gave Alex the win.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think Alex could put in the same amount of studying for Intergeekdom without sacrificing any Star Wars stuff?
Yes, but I don't see him splitting his time like that.
Yeah.
That's Star Wars. He's even said Star Wars is still his bread and butter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's where it falls to, unfortunately. I mean, Star Wars, I mean, he still got that, he still has his YouTube channel.
That's right. This was that match, and I agree. Yeah. That was one of the dumbest freaking challenges I've ever seen. Sorry, Hannah. I'm really sorry, but it is.
No. After that challenge over the Roddy Piper question, I'm never going to accept an apology from that dude. He should understand. This is the wrestling fan and the movie trivia fan coming out of me. It's Rowdy with the W in the movie credit titles. There is the benefit of the doubt rule shouldn't have count for a reason. Roxy, she did a great job as a manager. But Parker was right to challenge them, and Kaiser should have fought harder for Parker. And Christian and Mark, you're wrestling fans too. You should understand that. What the hell?
I will admit to when I was really young, thinking his name was Rowdy McDowell, but I was 6. And I didn't know how to pronounce Roddy.
That Roddy question, it's literally like I'm in the trash bin of the Death Star and the walls are just closing in on me out of the sheer frustration of that. And there's no C-3PO and R2 to save me from it. I'm just going to get crushed by it.
Yeah, I'm with you. That was not a great challenge. Honestly, that was one of the more head scratchers that they've done.
And I'm not throwing hate. This is not something that makes me rage quit the Schmoedown. This is just a situation to where it fell onto human judgment. Yeah. And unfortunately, human error played into this.
Yeah, exactly. I look at moments like that like real sports. You're in the moment. You react with what's going on in the moment. There is no hindsight, nothing like that. It's all in the moment.
Hindsight is
not always going to go your way, but it is what it is. And if you want to treat it like a sport, shit like that's going to happen.
Exactly. That's why I don't go to these threads or Reddits to voice my complaints unless it's something very serious, which is why I can move past the Green Hornet challenge. I can move past the Roddy Piper benefit of the doubt. But even then, what you saw there from that match was some good playing and good managing because of the managing that was done by Roxy. But I'm taking myself too far away. But even then, that match against Hannah, Damon was doing very good to make sure that he stayed within a good 2 to 3 point range against him. I mean, the fact he gets Middle Earth and is able to get a lead in the third round was very impressive.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he reveal that he straight company in Middle Earth?
It was. I don't know if it was that match or if it was the exhibition champions match. But it did come out that yes, Middle Earth is one of his.
Well, yeah, he did play. I think he played Parker to a sudden death in the Middle Earth exhibition match. So
that's right.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
he was in the Lord of the Rings exhibition match. Yes, that's what it was.
With Goddard, I believe, right?
Smets,
it was
Parker, and Goddard,
Parker, Goddard, and Damon.
And Damon lost in sudden death.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Collider Wiki.
Yeah, Collider Wiki definitely helps. I mean, I do my best to always remember the matches, but even then, sometimes I'll, like what I do now, I will flub on remembering the exact question. And I'm always thankful that we got Leo in the chat whenever he's available to let us know. But even then, seeing the fact that Star Wars bread and butter, Middle Earth, a definite, not a close second, but an ace up his sleeve. And then even looking at the categories that he's played in against Jen Kemp, he had Star Trek, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another franchise.
So it lists his round 2 categories besides every match. Out of how many times do you think Star Wars was his round 2 category?
I know he got it against Barbarian.
Mm-hmm. He mentioned a lot. He get Star Wars a lot.
Did he get it against Emily?
Round 2, he's only had it once. Not
including
like round 3 questions or round 1 question. Round 2 slice. Only had it the one time, and it was against Barbarian.
Yeah, but I think people have spun Star Wars in his match though. Like he made it.
He has. But I mean, like,
in Matt, I didn't. You know what? No, I won't focus too much on it. But
we're gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're gonna spend too much time going through this Collider Wiki trying to break it down. But even then, one time that just shows Alex.
That's right. He did. I forgot about that. Poor Elvis.
Man, Elvis, that shows how much that Gucci has corrupted Barbarian. The fact that he threw Elvis to the side. Like, Barbarian, how dare you? Elvis has been your lifelong companion. He's been with you throughout last year when you beat Alba, when you came so close against against Chance. I mean, what the hell, man? You just threw Elvis to the side like that? Gucci has corrupted you.
He was with him for the highest of highs, and as we all know, the lowest of lows. So,
but even after that little funny thing, I mean, I love the fact that even in that match, Gucci said, like, "Hey, we can beat Damon unless he gets Star Wars," and he got Star Wars. So it was pretty much like, you had to go perfect in round 2 in order to stay within an inch. But even then, Barbarian was able to at least get within a 2-point range in order to get those questions. So, I mean, that's what it shows with Alex. When you play against him, either be Star Wars or Inner Geekdom. As long as you're within that 2 to 3 point range, you have a chance of beating him. Unless, he gets DC movies, and then which Mike easily can slaughter him with. Or, like what we saw, he gets animated. Which that category, that's a true wild card in IG.
Oh, totally, because it could be anything. Well, I'd say that one's actually a wild card in all categories, but yeah, it is definitely a wild card category.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, the fact that with animated films, you have it's definitely difficult to really narrow down what animated film that's not of comic book adaptations that can be animated. I mean, sure, you can have superhero movies that can be thrown into animation, but then also you got to count in the 1978 Lord of the Rings animated movie, and then possibly maybe some animated films that maybe Disney has done. Because I know Disney has done a couple of animated shorts that have animated films that have not used superhero involved, like a Bolt, I believe. So it's some of that stuff where the water start getting a little testy. But even then, I think Damon was still able to get 5-6 points out of that category. So he was able to survive that, so Mike wouldn't knock him out again.
Yeah.
So he has improved his game with 100%. But we are seeing that in IG, he is definitely going to have to try to use that same studying habit he does with Star Wars in order to really, really become at least more more of a, I will say not more of a master, but more of a Jedi Knight, to where he's flexible and adaptable to anything.
Let me ask you this. Could you see him possibly becoming a three-belt champion?
If he puts his mind to it, easily.
I could, yeah. Because if the questions are more spaced out, like it wasn't that Battle of the Champions match, I could see Damon maybe considering being a part of a team or maybe taking a singles run. But it's all about wondering if Damon wants to put himself up to the challenge. Because so far, Mike Kalinowski is one of the few currently active players who can do all three divisions. I know Chance, he is stretching himself out into IG from what we saw last year. I know Barbarian is a 3-division player, but Mike is someone who can consistently put those numbers up to get to the top belt.
I'd say the most successful of the 3 league players probably is Rachel, because she's the only one that's actually
without doubt Rachel too. But like I said, active competitors, active.
No, Actus is hands down Kalinowski, but I'm just thinking, like, how many triple league players actually had a number one contenders match in every league, and I think it's Rachel's the only one.
It has, yeah. Team single and IG, yeah.
Hey, Mama going to go for that team?
I don't think so. I think Mara's good where she is.
Yeah, Mara's happy in IG, and Kaiser did tease that she would be considering Star Wars.
Star Wars,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
The next tournament, we might see her in there. Although I do want to see Win get a goddamn win. He is such an underrated. I think that's one thing. But I love that what we do here is that we analyze the player themselves. We never analyze. We don't try to fixate ourselves on their record. Sure, with Alex, if he hadn't lost to Dimolanta, you can go, oh yeah, Alex, he's 5-1, but greatest Star Wars player involved. But even then, with that 5-3 and that 2-2 loss, 2-2 record in IG. He is still a goddamn good player. He, without a doubt, shows that. I mean,
4-2.
4-2?
They've changed it. It's 4-2. They've updated it.
So he took out the 5-way?
Wow, they really screwed it up.
Yeah.
It's 4-2. He won the match against Emily at the live event, and he won against Jeb in the tournament, against Hen in the tournament, lost to Kalinowski in the tournament, beat Barbarian.
Yeah, I just went over those guys. I am so sorry. I'm thinking of a Star Wars, man. I'm like, they took out the 5-way for his record?
No.
So,
sorry, the compactor, the walls in the compactor is still crushed.
There's a lot of stuff to remember when it comes to this league. Thank God we were in there at the beginning.
Not just the questions alone, but the matches themselves.
Yeah.
But now we can still keep going on in. But look, as we are winding down with Alex, seeing from here, I mean, Dimolanta, Scrimshaw have proven their best. For this, let's do some theorizing for the upcoming tournament.
Okay.
Alex going to be in there. We have no idea how the tournament's going to be seated. Will there be playing matches? But obvious to me, Alex is definitely one of the higher ranked going in. I know depending on if Laura wins or not, she's definitely going to be higher ranked going in the tournament. Or unless
if she loses, you think she'll go back in the tournament? She has to.
She has to, because Ace is already in the tournament, and that's a hard decision for Winston to make, honestly, between Laura or Ace to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, I mean, the fact that each faction has at least 2 Star Wars players, so this tournament really has to be this Star Wars tournament coming up. So the second is going to be a very stacked tournament with that.
And here's the thing I just thought of. Like, you could actually upgrade it to an Ultimate Schmoedown size tournament, because, as you just said, most teams have more than one.
Exactly.
You can easily do it.
Who from each faction can you see?
Well, if you give me a second, I'll bring up the factions.
Okay, I know for the Stars, it's Zach and Alex.
Okay, so
it's Laura and Ace. For Finstock Exchange, it's Gold Leader.
My boy.
Is Gold Leader the only one there?
No. Okay, so I have all the things here. So for the Den, you have Harper and Lacey Gillerin.
Yes.
And the dungeon,
it's Hoey. No, that's the dungeon. Sorry, dungeon is Hoey.
Dungeon is Hoey and Molly Damon.
Yeah.
Finstock Exchange is Gold Leader. That's it. Corruption has
Sean and Scrimshaw.
Yeah, that's it. Quirky Mercs has Andrew Dimolanta and Eric Whiteley.
Yes.
The Stars has Burkett and Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
The Swag has Laura Kelly and Cabrera Ace. Mm-hmm. And Suspects, Marie E. Wilson and Nikki Dimolanta.
Well, that's right. We're waiting on Nikki to make her debut soon.
Yeah. So you could feasibly do a 16-man tournament for
Yeah, maybe depending on the numbers there, you can even have a play-in match because so far of the matches, the only people I've not seen play yet is Nikki DeMolanta and
Jeff Lowe.
Jeff Lowe. So we can.
Oh shit! The Stars have 4.
Oh, the 2 Barstool guys.
Yeah. There's also Jack.
And Star Wars. Yeah.
I don't think you know what. I don't think we're going to see those 2 this year.
I mean, I know what you're referencing to, and
I don't think we are.
Yeah, I know. I don't think so. I think it's unfortunate. It was bad. It was unfortunate timing, and
I agree.
Maybe. I mean, we may see. I mean, Nikki DeMolanta, she's gonna have herself a match. She has,
and that's great. Mark Hawes from the Exchange, who did play this week. That is correct.
So he's also double in Star Wars too. So they got 2 Star Wars players. So yeah, we can definitely see.
Leo, according to the official website, Mark Haas is only singles and IG. Is he really Star Wars? If you could confirm that in the chat.
Yeah. If he is confirmed for Star Wars, then yeah, we can definitely easily have a 16 Ultimate Schmoedown tournament, maybe with a play-in match, depending on records or so. Because honestly, the fact that we still have some rookies going on we do need to get some seeded. We need to get some people seeded in. But moving outside there, I know 100% Alex would love to play any of the new Dragon Con Star Wars players this year. I know Zach Burkett, even though he's on the same team with Alex, he said he would love to go up against him. I know Marie Wilson and Thomas Harper have also stated they would love to play Alex. I mean, I would love to see the ones from the Star Wars News Network, like Lacey and John Hoey, maybe go against Alex as well.
You know what I want to see? I want to see, for the title, a rematch of the time Damon got beat for the Dragon Con title.
That's right.
Because it was Burkett, I believe, who did that.
It was. But they would need to be on opposite sides, obviously, of the bracket in order to play each other.
Yeah, of course.
You mean? What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Ow. Is Damon other stars for the time being? You don't see him going anywhere else.
No, right? I don't think he'll ever leave the Stars.
Roxy has, I mean, not just calling him the heart of the Stars, but Roxy has said so many times that she loves working with Damon, and Damon even loves saying he likes working with Roxy. I mean, if that spectacular match against Ace had not shown you exactly how Roxy was able to get Damon out of his head, and even then, in the championship matches he played against DeMolanta, despite if he was behind or still dead even with him, Roxy still kept him focused. Unless Alex wants to take some time away from the Schmoedown, that is the only time I can see him not going back to the Stars.
Or if Roxy leaves. Let's not forget that.
Yes. Those two scenarios I don't want to imagine, honestly. I can't see Star Wars without Alex, and I definitely cannot see the Schmoedown without Roxy Stryer. Shannon's great. I think Roxy's better. That's my personal bias there.
Honestly, it's hard to picture the Schmoedown without any of these managers. That's just me, though.
No, you're right. Despite as many people may have had issues with managers being interviewed during season 7 before the match started, their interactions and their character interactions really brought some entertainment value to where they became a very key factor into the Schmoedown.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I like the way they're doing it this season without those manager interviews. Because we're still getting all that without just them talking to the managers. I actually like this because it puts the focus more on the players than the managers.
Exactly. Yeah, I still like
getting everything you said.
Yeah, and now that things are starting to get back to normal, that cutscene that we had with Bibbs and the kid with Coy interacting with each other,
and let's not forget Kaiser and Merle as well. That was also in the cutscene for yesterday's pay-per-view. No spoilers.
No spoilers too, but even then, that big little exchange, that big little cutscene for Danger Zone and Rushmore, where the Finstock and Dungeon had all their players brought in, that was I like that one.
That was a great one, yeah. It was quite a cluster, but it was a lot of fun.
It was a cluster, so I understand that Christian wants to bring this back to studio, so we can have moments like those that we saw again. And believe me, I am looking forward to it as much as anyone else is, Christian. Just don't let go of the digital matches, please. Please don't let go of him.
He's not. He said when
I know he's not letting go of him. I've been watching SEN. I know that he's still going to keep the digital. It's just personally to me, I think for players who are not within California, it's still a great opportunity for them to still play and still be.
Because then we'll get to see Alex Damon play more.
Yes.
There's a potential. We'll see JTE play more.
We'll see Robert Parker play more.
We'll see Parker play more. We'll see who else. Dan and Mara.
Yeah. Mara as well.
Mara, if she were to ever come back, would be in that boat. She's back in Atlanta right now.
I mean, Molly Damon, we would see Demolanta play more because Demolanta is definitely. I mean, both Demolanta, Andrew and Nikki, they would play more, and even some of the rookies brought up, and those in the FCL will get a chance to play more.
Snyder right now, because he's in Boston, he probably is going to head back to LA. But there's
how about Roca?
Roca, he's still in
San Diego. So
he's in San Diego. He's where I am in San Diego. So
you're in San Diego. Did I know that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he had said he will drive up to do tapings. He had said,
San Diego's Blazing Party and Chance Ellison have shown they'll make the trip from Phoenix.
Yeah, they're in Arizona as well. How close is San Diego to LA? It's only a couple hours.
Without traffic, it is an hour and a couple of minutes. It's hour and 10, hour and 5.
Yeah.
It's so even quicker if you're in carpool, but when there's traffic, 2 hours max, maybe more.
Easy to do.
Well,
the train ride is more than 50 minutes.
Yeah. Am I remembering correctly? Is Matt in California?
He's also in California right now. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, he is because Kaiser's also in California as well, and those photos we've seen of him and Kaiser together.
I'm trying to think who doesn't live in the town. Well, Harper, he's another.
Most of the Dragon Con players actually, because
all the Dragon Con players. Saul is not local.
No.
Not Ken. Not Ken.
What?
The kid. I think the kid lives in LA. He just went up to Toronto for quarantine.
Yeah.
Because his family.
I know Video Duke. She now lives in LA, but she mainly lived in New York at the time. But she's now situated herself here.
Yeah, her and Nerd Chronic are roommates.
Yeah.
Let's see who else would be. Well, Jericho, obviously, that's going to be an intriguing one. A, if he does come back and play. B, because when all this shit's over, his schedule is going to pick up a lot. Because not only is he a full-time professional wrestler, he's a full-time rock star.
Yes,
and he writes.
But Paul Walter Hauser, Doug Benson, Jericho. I mean, even certain critics like Josh
Griffin Newman.
Huh?
I believe Griffin Newman might be one of them too.
Griffin Newman as well, yeah. Oh, Paige Bray. She lives in Boston as well, so yeah.
My girl.
So yeah, there are so many others. Like because the fact that Schmoedown wants to bring in some more celebrities, they want to bring in actors, they want to bring in
Perry
Sam Levine. He might be in LA, but
it'd be easier for him to do digital.
Yeah. Pushing.
Yeah, there's a lot of upside to keep in the digital age. And Kevin Smith, I agree, would be hard. He's the only one I'm convinced right now his live stuff is pre-taped.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you either. I thought that Jericho and Smith match was live, but then of course in the chat people were going, "Oh no, it's pre-taped." I'm like, what's the point of that? You're treating like a live event when reality taped. I mean, I get it. Their schedules. I understand it. It's just that when you market something like that, don't market it as a live event when you know deep down it's pre-taped.
Speaking of live events in Jericho, you will get this. Ben, I had to explain it a little bit. What I told you the other day about Jericho.
Oh, right.
You watch AEW, right?
Yes, I have. I do.
Okay. Could you imagine? Now, picture this. Close your eyes and picture this.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho's AEW entrance with Judas, but switch it out for a Schmoedown crowd. Could you?
I have been wanting that since he was announced. I wanted to hear Judas against Kevin Smith, but that didn't happen. I wanted to hear Judas against Brittany Young. That didn't happen.
Because I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of the people in that crowd that knows AEW, and they're going to be singing along like the wrestling crowd does.
Or they know as a rock star. I swear, I would love for a live event. Jericho plays, and we just hear, I become that. Judas in my mind.
I'm not going to lie. I followed AEW. But I watched the Brody Lee special because I had to. but I didn't start watching it regularly until Blood and Guts, and I am hooked. I can't wait for tomorrow's pay-per-view.
I was big into AEW. I actually was on the Jericho cruise where they did that live taping of AEW where the whole singing of Judas began.
Yeah, I watched that. You were there.
I was in that crowd. I was doing an Orange Cassidy cosplay, but I was in that crowd when the crowd was just chanting, singing the Judas, and it carried like a not to reference going, but it carried like a virus moving from crowd to crowd to crowd.
I'll show you afterwards, Ben, because that video is online. I am so flipping jealous right now because, goddamn.
Yeah. But let's hold ourselves here for
Sorry.
Talk. Let's wind down now. With Alex Damon, we know he is definitely not done with Star Wars. But so far with Inner Geekdom moving forward, obvious Mike Kalinowski is that hump to get over. He is that guy he needs to beat. I know Barbarian proved himself a challenge, but let's say we take Star Wars. If Star Wars was ever removed from an IG match that Damon is playing in, where would you guys rank him? Like out of a 1 to 10, where would you see him as an IG level competitor?
Right now?
Oh, Soda, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had muted myself.
It's okay.
You're talking right now, right? Like Ben asked?
Like right now, like say we remove the Star Wars category out of IG. How do we see Alex as an IG player? Out of a 4? Okay.
No,
5. Oh, 5. Okay.
5.
I'm going to put it into wrestling terms again. I think he's upper mid card, if that makes sense.
Oh, I completely understand.
He's marquee, but not as marquee as the top players right now.
Yeah. I guess
he's at the lower end of the list. But either way, he's on the cusp. He's on that border of upper middle card and headliner.
I guess best example, reference-wise, he's kind of like Diamond Dallas Page during his early career. Yep. He's right there within. He just needs that opponent, a macho man, to elevate him into IG. That's why I think what Mike Kalinowski is for him. And just like with Diamond Dallas Page, he's got himself a great manager valet out of Roxy. Although Roxy, she's her own person. So anyone who's watching this is going to share this clip. Don't at me. I love Roxy. She's amazing. Mm-hmm. But you do see that she really highlights her players. Alex, I do believe he's on that cusp. If he's going to be I don't know if he's going to be in an IG tournament, but if he is, oh boy,
he could be. He could feasibly another one.
But yeah, I would have to be on the same line between you and between Soda and Ben. I think he's also somewhere like mid card, but I think he's like a 5.5. Star Wars definitely puts him at a 7, between a 7 and 8. Mm-hmm. But you take that out. But then Middle Earth also gives him that edge. So I think rounded out, he would be a 6.
But then again,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
But then again, if you take out that IG and only leave Star Wars, he's on 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean,
so if I'm going to compare him to a current wrestler for you, I would probably compare him to Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. Dolph Ziggler can be in the main event. He can be in the mid card. He could be the opening match. He'll still the show every time. You know you're going to get a good show out of him.
Yeah.
Plus, you can plug him in any situation, and he will handle it just like Damon has been handling IG and Star Wars.
I do love that. I do love that comparison. But
anyone else wrestling lately? It's all I've had on my mind for like.
I have a wrestling podcast where I'm reviewing wrestling shows. So yes, I too am watching so much wrestling between this and the show. But anybody in the chat or we are watching this during the rewatch, please put down in the comments what you feel. What are your thoughts on Alex Damon's career? Where does his future in Inner Geekdom lie? I mean, now that Inner Geekdom is a whole new different beast, where do we see Alex in this, let's say, new galaxy, honestly? Yeah. Can he rise to the occasion like he did in Star Wars? Or is he going to be like the Finn of the IG division? Great promise, but constantly keeps getting screwed over and over until he's relegated to going, Ray! And that's no subtlety. I do not like what they did with Finn. But my personal bias aside, Soda, thank you once again for joining us to talk about Alex Damon. Where can they find you?
Okay, so before I do that, actually, if you have a comparison to what wrestler Alex Damon is would be to, I actually wouldn't mind seeing that as well. So don't forget to throw that in the comments section as well.
Yes.
But You could find me at my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me over on the Media Sweaties Network several times a week doing 4 shows with them. And you can also find me on this channel right here every week on Schmoedown Night in Canada, Fridays, sometimes Sundays. You can also find me producing tonight the 2nd episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars, where we are going to be ranking canon Skywalkers versus legacy Star Wars. So this is going to be a great show. And you could also find me coming up this week on Canadian Comic Book Quarter. We're going to be reviewing War of the Green Lanterns. What else is there? I think that's it. Actually, that's it.
Right. Thank you. Ben, I know we never, honestly, Soda and I have taken so much of this conversation, we never got a chance to let you join in. But man, sitting from your Emperor's throne, where can everyone else find you?
At my Twitter handle at Ben_radio. Like I said, I'm over at the Media Sweaties Network. I'm doing a fun thing Wednesday night. I'm doing a What's the Best Disney Villain Tournament. It's a one-night only, animated villains only. Come check that out. It's going to be a fun time.
All right. And for everybody watching, obviously you guys can find me here on Schmoes of the North for Mount Schmoedown. Ben and myself, I believe we are going to be at the next Schmoedown like in Canada. Schmoedown, I forget the title already, but I did not hear you.
Schmoedown Night in Canada. I think Hockey Night in Canada, but with Schmoedown.
Sorry. Yeah, we're going to be in the next Schmoedown Night in Canada. We're going to be reviewing this past week matches that we've seen. Not the pay-per-view, but these past 3 matches that we saw. The Star Wars match, the IG match, and the singles match that just came out this past week. And also, you guys, if you are a big wrestling fan, you can follow my podcast that I co-host with the current First Class League competitor, James Shimo. It is called the Wrestle, Ramblings, and Rages podcast. We mainly review current wrestling shows along with the latest wrestling news. It's on the following It's on the following platforms: Spotify, Apple, Podbean, and Stitcher. Go ahead, go on those platforms. Give one of our episodes a listen. If you like what you listen to, please follow us. You don't have to be a devoted follower. You can always listen to an episode every now and then. But we just love sharing our thoughts and our love of wrestling. Trust me, we're not doing this. Me and James, we're not doing this to become huge podcast, of course. We just do it because we want to talk about wrestling. But other than that, thank you everybody for joining us, being in the chat. I hope those in the chat engaging with us, or those posting your comments, liking the video. Thank you for once again. And also, Ben, before we close out, we're going to do something special. We're going to tease our next episode coming up. I mean, we did Alex Damon. We talked about one of the greatest Star Wars players of all time. So next week, for our episode of Mount Schmoedown, we're going to revisit a comparator we talked about in the past, and that is the Smasher, Kevin Smets. Now, you're asking yourself, why are we revisiting him again? Well, Ben and I, along with our old host Brandon, we talked about Kevin Smets during the Smash-a-thon. But unfortunately, we just couldn't get that old footage back. But even then, there was so much we still could have talked about Kevin Smets that we wanted to continue talking about again. So what perfect way to talk about him than back to here on the Schmoes of the North Network.
And we might have other surprise for you. We're not going to say what, but
next
an
week?
eye out. Yeah.
Next week? Cool.
Yeah.
We don't want to try to tell everybody what we have in store for you guys, because let's be honest, schedule can happen and all of a sudden we'll end up with nothing but like I think, oh, something's behind this, but guess what? Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, that pretty much happened a couple weeks ago on the main show here. Tell me off air. I'm actually curious.
Yeah, we'll definitely tell you off air. But once again, gentlemen, ladies, Schmoedown fans, Star Wars lovers, or Star Wars mild fans, thank you for joining us today. Have yourself a great afternoon, night, evening, and morning. And as always, respect the Schmoedown.
Yeah, smash the cancer, stay ready, and all that goodness now. And yes.